Hi there, it's your Sewing Sherpa Shauna, and I have some very serious information to get across to you, and it's all about apparel fabric, right? So the thing is, I get probably a half dozen calls or people stopping by every day looking for apparel fabric. And this last one really inspired me to think harder and kind of reach out. She called, there was a little bit of panic in her voice, and she asked me if I sold penguin fabric. And I'm all thinking fabric for penguins or fabric made out of penguins. And then I'm like, oh no, she means printed penguins. So I was like, no, I don't really sell any fabric here, but I wanted to find a fabric place resource for her. That's what I always try and do. Send people off somewhere local where they can get a hold of it. So I said, are you looking for quilting fabric or apparel fabric? And she said, apparel fabric. And I said, does it need to stretch? And she said, yes. So I'm like, you're looking for a printed knit fabric. And she's like, I guess. And I said, well, how much of a hurry are you in? And she's like, a big hurry. I should have done this a while ago, but now I've got to get this done. And I was just like, good luck. Because guess what? To find something that specific would take a mini miracle. Maybe she got it. Maybe she got it. I told her the only place I know of in town to get knit fabric is Hobby Lobby. And, you hear that kind of silent, like, oh, I don't like to shop at Hobby Lobby, which I get. But anyhow, I'm sure that there's plenty of penguin printed knit fabric available in the universe, but you need to order it ahead of time. And in fact, if you could start planning your project at least 1 month ahead of time, when I say 1 month ahead of time, I mean 1 month before you start sewing, right? So let's say the project needed to be done by June 1st and it was a 10-hour project. You would want to have your fabric in by the beginning of May, right? And to have your fabric in by the beginning of May, you need to order it at the beginning of April. And you're like, why do I have to order it at the beginning of April? Well, worst case scenario, it takes 2 full weeks for fabric to get to you. And that happens. Like you place an order during a sale and they get backed up and they don't get it shipped for a week. And then goes through the process of mailing for another week. That's 2 weeks. And let's say you get it and you're like, oh, I hate this color, right? So you go back on, repeat the process. You're going to need another potential 2 full weeks. Now, that's not saying it's always going to take 2 weeks or a month. You might be able to get your favorite fabric overnight from Amazon. Amazon does carry fabrics if you know how to get to them. I don't know, it's kind of a mess, but if you want that perfect fabric with the penguin print and the cotton fiber content and knit, you want to give yourself plenty of time for that to come in. So that's my first word to the wise. So my second one is don't overwhelm yourself with projects, right? Unless you have a really blessed life, finding time to sew is oftentimes difficult. And I feel like if you can get one solid project done per quarter, I think in quarters, I'm a business person. If you get one solid project done every 3 months, you've owned it. Like that's good. So one thing to watch out for is that when you get started sewing, you start getting really excited about all the things you can do. And you're like, oh, I'm going to make a dress. And then you see this really cute fabric on Mood Fabrics. And you're like, oh, I have to get that. Because what if they don't sell it anymore? And then you get the fabric in and then you're like, but I also need to make a wrap to go with this. And you find some really cute fabric over on, let's see, where else were you shopping? You were shopping for fabric at, anyways, there's so many places. My mind's going blank. If you want to know where to shop for fabric, I do have a blog post that has a list of hundreds of great places and why you would shop there. Anyways, what happens is you end up getting a really enormous stash of fabric that you haven't started working on. And you probably have started stashing patterns because you're like, oh, that's the dress. And then you see another one, you're like, oh, that's the dress. And then you have a pile of fabrics and a pile of patterns that are kind of vying for your attention, and you finally find some time to do it, and you spend half the day deciding like which project you're going to do. And then once you do decide on which one, your time's up and you don't have time to start it, but at least you got it set aside. And the next time you go start on the project and you get going and you're like, oh, there's something here I don't understand, this is really confusing, I'm stalled out. And instead of trying to figure out how to get out of the stall, you just move over to a different project because you got all this other fabric and all these other patterns, and pretty soon you've got a pile of half-finished projects. I know this. I have one. I've seen it. People are like, oh yes, I've got a drawer full of pinned patterns to fabric. And then I get going and I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm doing. So I move on to another one, right? This kills seamsters, right? My second wish after shopping a month ahead for your fabric is that you work on one project at a time and assume you're going to do 4 a year. So even though you want to do a quilt for your sister and a dress for your daughter and a pantsuit for yourself and boxers for your other guy, you know what I mean? Like well, it's 4 projects. You can fit those in a year. You know, you got to be realistic about your time and decide which one's most important, and then get the fabric for that one. All right. Don't be scared into buying a lot of fabric because it might disappear. Now, every once in a while, yeah, you're at a yard sale and you see some really cool vintage fabric and you're afraid that you'll never see that again. You won't. Get it. And then bring it to me. But uh no, there's plenty of vintage fabric to be had online. You really should have a direction because that stuff just passes from one yard sale to another over time and nobody ever uses it up because you're too afraid to. Um, that's the other problem with having really nice fabric that you don't have a project in mind for, is that you end up being afraid to use it, and you sell it again or give it away or whatever. Again, I do that as well. So those are my wishes as far as fabric goes, and I do offer a workshop, fabric shopping online and textiles identification, which is made to empower you to feel more confident about shopping for fabric online so you're less likely to make a mistake. And I try and offer it quarterly, at least quarterly. So if you see it up there and you're that person who's like, I don't want to have a bad stash, but I also don't know what I'm looking for, so I keep getting fabrics that I don't need or want, join me for that workshop. And either way, keep on sewing.